Good evening, everybody. This is Mark, WREZ914, Net Control for the National GMRS Net. This net meets every Sunday at 5 p.m. Arizona, 6 Mountain, 7 Central, 8 Eastern. To be part of this net, you must have first checked in through one of the regional nets on the My GMRS network, or online via mygmrs.com/net. There is no roll call or open check-in. This is a direct net, meaning all traffic should pass through net control. If there is an emergency or party traffic at any point, please feel free to break in at any time. Also, a reminder to let the repeater carriers drop between transmissions due to the large number of repeaters tied in this evening. Does anyone have any general announcements or messages for the National Net? Please get your call sign now. Tonight's topic is as follows. What's something you wish you knew when you first begun GMRS? We'll now begin the roundtable discussion for stations that have checked in for this net. If you'd like to make suggestions for future topics, please feel free to throw out any ideas during your turn. We're going to start with WRJB 699, Matthew in Arizona.
Good afternoon. This is WRJB 699 in Arizona. And one thing that I wish I knew when I first started with GMRS would be the difference between Part 95, Part 90, and then Part 15 certified radios. That's something that I think more people who get into GMRS should be aware of and understand that only Part 90 and Part 95 are going to be legal to use on GMRS. Back to you, Mark, at Net Control.
Thanks, Matthew. Yeah, if you're not aware of the Part 95 versus the Part 90 rules, you could end up buying a radio that is good for ham use, but not good for GMRS. All right, we're moving to WRBN 985, Mike. WRHY 868, Glenn in Florida. WRBU 985, Rob in Georgia. Nothing heard. WRFX 952, Eric in Georgia.
WRFX 952. Good evening, Net Control. Good evening, Net. I did want to talk about the Part 90, Part 95 that was already discussed, so that's scratched that off my list. But I did want to talk about the repeaters and the repeater networks that are out there. That was one of the things that I was not aware of as I got into the hobby. And originally I thought it was just going to be similarly to Simplex, just with a little bit more power. So now learning what I know about the repeater networks and joining different ones that are in the area, that makes the communication much more reliable, and I hope to get some more of my friends involved with the radio. I've played with the amateur side, but the GMRS side is where I have friends on both sides of the fence. They're both amateur radio operators and GMRS operators, so it's nice to be able to communicate with the folks in that community as well. I have a large group in my area, and I definitely. I apologize, it timed out there. I have a large group of GMRS operators in my area, and I appreciate their communication and their friendship on the radio.
All right, thanks, sir. Yeah, that was one thing about the repeaters until after I'd already bought a couple of GMRS radios, and then I started looking more into it and found the repeaters out there. Yeah, I thought it was a simplex operation, and I did not realize that there was repeaters. So very good to know. Moving to WQYP473, Dennis. All right, nothing heard. WQZB946, Ed in Illinois. Nothing heard. WRAF278, Mike in Illinois. WRAL939, Vincent, Illinois. WRDL342, Mo in Illinois. WRDU235, Rob, Illinois.
WRDU235. One thing I wish I had known is how much fun and addicting the hobby would have been and how much money I would have spent. Don't regret anything, of course. What else? Yep, didn't know about repeaters when I started in June of last year. That was for simplex only. Learned about that about the beginning of this year. That's about it. Thanks for running the net. Back to net control, WRDU235.
Yeah, definitely, Rob. And as the addiction grows and the hobby grows and you get into ham, you end up spending a lot more money that you didn't know it costs. Moving over to WREM499, Allen in Illinois.
WREM499, Alan, checking in from Midlothian. I didn't hear what the question was. I'm just getting on a little late, but I'll just check in here.
Yeah, Alan, it's just something you wish you knew when you first began GMRS.
Something I wish I knew. It's just more about commercial grade radios and how to program them, and basically that programming the radios at first was a little tricky and a pretty good learning curve, but getting it figured out slowly but surely, and how enjoyable it is. A lot of good people out here, so I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, Alan, when you get into those commercial grade radios, there definitely is more programming, normally done through a computer and a cable, than that's required on the standardized GMRS radios that you can program just through the face. So yeah, there's definitely a learning curve on those. Moving over to WRFL449, Doug in Illinois.
WRSL449, this is Doug from Crystal Lake, Illinois. Before I got my GMRS license, I wish I knew what GMRS was. Prior to getting my license, I just thought these were walkie-talkies sold in sporting goods catalogs. I didn't know until I actually had a scanner and I looked up the frequency. That's when I researched it. After I got my license, I wish I knew about the types of radios that are compliant and how they can be programmed to hit the repeaters that are available in my area and across the country. I've since then learned all that, and I'm really thankful I did. So it's a great network. Glad to be here. Back to you, Net Control, WRFL449. Thanks for running the net.
Sure, Doug. Yeah, and you can still buy those FRS and the GMRS radios in the catalogs, so it's definitely not out of the scope of what they're selling. Mainly FRS radios you find in the stores and stuff, but they still pick up the GMRS frequencies, and you can still talk just a lower power. Moving over to Artie, WRFR 502 in Illinois.
WRFR 502, Artie, Naperville, Illinois. The thing that surprised me was the repeater network and how large it was, that it was nationwide as far as the GMRS network. And then the other thing is the culture of the GMRS. I really enjoy that. I've been a ham operator for 20 years, and it's a more structured type culture, and that was what impressed me. Back to that.
Yeah, Artie, and there's a lot of repeaters that are single repeaters, local repeaters that are not on the network, and trying to locate some of those. I know in some of the towns here in Texas, there's several local repeaters that are not on the network. And yeah, it's great if you live near one of those and you're doing local business, or I say business, if you're talking locally to other people. The network is actually quite big when you start including all those local non-linked repeaters. Moving over to Justin, WRFR 912 in Illinois.
This is WRFR 912. Thank you for running the net. And yeah, I kind of got to repeat what was said already by mentioning repeaters. I did not know about repeaters when I first got my first radios, GMRS radios. If I had, I would have got different ones, because the ones I got were not repeater capable. So that's what I was going to say first, but since it's already been said, I'll add to it. I really wish I would have known about these used commercial radios, like the one I'm using, that do have the GMRS band on them. They're not advertised as GMRS radios, so I went ahead and bought one that was, and I paid too much for it, and it didn't have the capabilities that these others do. So I really wish I would have known that that was the situation. But I learned, and it got me out here on the radio, and, wouldn't change a thing, but I guess, yeah, I wouldn't wish anyone else to, spend too much on a radio that's not going to do enough for them. So anyway, that's all I got to say. Thank you very much. WRFR 912, back to net control.
All right, thanks, Justin. Yeah, and like me, I don't plan on going out and getting my ham right now, maybe in the future, in a few more years. But definitely GMRS is great to use for me. But it gets me moving in the right direction. It's kind of a stepping stone and towards getting ham for a lot of people. It gets you on the radio the next day once you get licensed, and it also gets you playing with all the different fun things that radios are about, such as antennas, walkie-talkies, mobile units, repeaters, all the stuff that you normally do only with a ham license. Moving to David, WRJC 557 in Illinois. Nothing heard. WRJD 357, Clem in Illinois.
Hi,
good evening. This is Clem, WRJD 357 in Downers Grove, Illinois. Thank you for running the net. And I guess the similar concerns, I didn't know really much about repeaters, how they operate, and the radio selection, as previously mentioned, is pretty important. There are a lot of GMRS radios that support repeaters, but there's also some out there that don't support a split tone for receive, transmit. And in my area, I can target the majority of the repeaters because they use the same tone, but there's a couple that I cannot connect to because I can't do split tone. So I'm now looking to get another radio. So yeah, there needs to be like GMRS for beginners book or something out there to help all of us beginners out a little bit. So thanks again for running the net. This is Clem, WRJD 357.
All right, Clem. Well, thank you again. Yeah, and for any authors out there, there's your next book, GMRS for Dummies. Yeah, how to use them and what radios are available. I know it's complicated when you are trying to prevent other people from getting on your network, and so you have to go to some extreme measures like using DSC and PL tones, and not all the radios they sell out there on the market that are advertised as GMRS support both dual tones, and you end up kind of having to buy some of those old commercial radios and programming those, and that brings you into the whole world of programming. All right, WQWU 626 Russell in Indiana. Nothing heard. WQYW 692 Kevin in Indiana.
WQYW 692. Got my license in February of 2017, and I'd wished I knew then that the FCC was going to change from 5-year to a 10-year license the following September. Back to net control.
Yeah, you wish they had put that kind of information out there a little sooner, especially on the page you're applying it for, like, kind of a notice we're about to change the licensing. But yeah, it's the FCC for you. They don't like to put notices out there much until after the fact it's already happened. Sorry about that, but at least you're still licensed, so that's a good thing. Moving on. WRDE 566 Tim in Indiana.
WRDE 566. Tim, just checking in, checking out.
All right, understand, Tim, that you're just monitoring out there. Hope you're doing well out there in Indiana. Moving over to John in WREN 806.
WREN 806. Yeah, be reiterating on most of the guys have said with knowing more about the repeaters and all that. When I first got my license, I just thought it was a requirement you had to have for just talking simplex radio to radio, and then learn more about the whole networking and all that, and the budget went up really fast.
Yeah, John, you had kind of low audio, so I'm just going to echo what you said. You were talking about wish you knew about the repeaters, the network of link repeaters, and how much budget you need when you start getting into this hobby. Brad in North Carolina, WQTG 303. Nothing heard. Moving on to Anthony in North Carolina, WRHY 599. In New Jersey, I'm looking for Jim, WQWN 660.
Good evening, Net Control. The only thing I can honestly say was that I wished I had known is the misconception of distance that we could talk on the simplex mode. I think I purchased my radios under the misconception of a 14-mile distance between them, and much to my chagrin, that wasn't the case. So I discovered repeaters and fell in with a great group of guys up in my area, and it's been great ever since.
Yeah, they get you on that advertising, don't they, Jim? Telling you that you can hit 60-plus miles on a little 2-watt radio. I guess if you're standing on top of a mountain looking down on the valley, it would work. But yeah, definitely the terrain and all the obstacles in the way definitely cut that distance really fast. Yeah, and it's a great network out here on the GMRS. Todd in New Jersey, WRFW 560. Nothing heard. Dibro, you're up next. Again, the topic of discussion tonight is what's something you wish you knew when you first began GMRS? All right, take it away, Russell.
All right, thank you, sir, again for running the net. Appreciate it. I guess when I first started, I had some support, some help from local guys, and I got because I heard a local repeater in a way. And you know, then I started just having big aspirations of we're going to have repeaters on every mountaintop, and we're going to have huge coverage. And so one of the things I wish I knew as a repeater owner is very good. I wish I'd have spent more money on some of that stuff, because I've spent a lot of recent times running from mountaintop to mountain, replacing damaged antennas and feed line from winter or from water, and it has grown to be a huge challenge. So that's the one thing I wish I'd have known ahead of time. So you
Yeah, it's a good point there, Russell. Yeah, when you're dealing with these repeaters, you definitely want to be going to commercial-grade repeaters, unless you're just setting up a small backyard repeater and you don't expect to get it very far, and you don't plan on spending a lot of money to replace it when it breaks. But yeah, when you're trying to go for big distance, you're looking at a major commercial setup, and that is major money when you start messing with it. Moving over to Dominic in New Mexico, WRFN 434. Nothing heard. Moving to Nevada, Jim, WQUG 446. Scott in Oklahoma, WQLJ938. Moving to Lee in Oklahoma, WRCW870.
WRCW870. Well, about the only thing that I wish that I would have known is I wish I would have found out about GRMS year in place for decades. I found about it a couple of years ago on a TV show about off-road, about it by complete, utter accident. So, to you, Net Control.
Yeah, for sure, Lee. There is a long history of GMRS with the FCC, and I didn't know about it until, pretty recent either. But yeah, it dates back more than 20 years of having that band dedicated for GMRS. And there just wasn't a lot of people on it back then, other than maybe a few walkie-talkies they were selling at the stores for the kids. So yeah, great input. All right, I think we had a couple of Florida stations out there.
I was mainly talking to friends who own in the Milwaukee area, and then eventually, some point, the Armored One linked up throughout the country.